Good day and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Today we have something very special for our community here in Singapore, and I'm joined by the High Commissioner of South Africa in Singapore. Thank you, sir, for giving us your time today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you. I know your time is very important and valuable, so I don't want to keep you too long today, but we've prepared a few questions for you, and I think if we could just start a bit with your background, and if you could tell us a bit about yourself, sir.
I started working as a computer programmer. I then left that type of work, which I was doing for the Department of Finance, for the homeland of Kwakwa in our country, and then joined Information Technology Computer Group in Johannesburg to become a consultant on billing systems for the whole of Soweto, Deep Meadow, and Alexander. And then from there, when the time arrived, I joined a municipality to become a data controller. And then after that, I had to leave that and go and join now the Democratic Parliament in 1994. Left the Democratic Parliament, became a Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Free State Development Corporation. Then I left that to become a member of the Executive Council in the Free State for Safety and Security. Then at the later stage, it was for agriculture, and then the last was for education. Heading the Department of Education.
Very broad spectrum of areas of expertise.
Yeah, no, I think it did well in terms of assisting me to comprehend a lot of things.
Indeed. So you spent a lot of time in Johannesburg, in the Free State. Is this all before coming out to Singapore?
Yeah. And then what I must just also add there is that I have an advanced diploma with the University of Wits in advanced leadership. And then I have a postgraduate diploma in management with Wits University also.
Okay. Very
That's
good.
my background.
So from what I can hear, it's very educated and very experienced in a wide range of things, from education, technology, agriculture.
I hope it has actually impacted on me in a way that is significant to be able to assist my people, or the people of South Africa.
And in what year did you come out here to Singapore, sir?
I came to Singapore on the 18th of November, 2017.
Okay, so almost 3 years now.
Yes, yes.
All right, cool. So I suppose with now moving into Singapore and the mission here, if you could just tell me a little bit about the mission here in Singapore, the services offered and the functions that you play here in Singapore.
Well, basically the mission in Singapore even started before 1994, around 1992.
Wow.
It actually shows the commitment which Singapore had towards the evolution of our country to becoming a democratic country. Well, we have 3 areas, I think, primarily, which are of major importance for us. The one in my office is the political section. The political section simply works with matters that are destined to improve relations between ourselves and Singapore, which matters, political matters, and multilateral matters, cultural matters, investment matters, and then tourism matters, and trade matters. That's the section, the political section.
Right.
We've got a very small administration to do the routine work which any organization has to do in terms of administration. And then we have in-house here developed on capacity for the Department of Home Affairs.
Right.
And the Department of Home Affairs will actually assist mostly the citizens of South Africa in Singapore here around a number of areas. For instance, during this time of COVID, there is a lot of work around repatriation.
Yes.
Where citizens of South Africa want information around that. But beyond that, we assist in terms of passports and travel documents. We assist in terms of visas, because there are times when visas are required. Although, you know, as a generally in the past, there was an agreement between Singapore and South Africa that we don't need visas to visit each other's country.
Yes.
But because of the COVID conditions, every country has got to be circumspect in terms of how it protects its citizens.
Yes.
So other than that, we will, you know, when there is distress on the part of South African citizens here,
yes,
and they needed to be linked up with their families, we is assisting that. But also from time to time, we have to go to the prisons to go and look as to whether those prisoners who are prisoners, but also South African citizens, enjoy the benefit of human rights which are prescribed
yes,
by international conventions. And that's what we do in that section. In this other section, the political section, is to interface directly with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because that's the level at which we relate.
yes,
To convey messages, but more than that, to pursue issues like cultural relations, which we want to have, multilateral relations, so that we can support each other in the corridors of world institutions that we as South Africa wants to be a chair of the Security Council. Will you support us as Singapore? And Singapore will do the same on other areas where they want to do that. But also we have to look at the question of trade.
yes,
Promotion. Now, trade promotion simply means that we have to facilitate, and we are fortunate that there has been an establishment like the South African Chamber of Commerce, which complements our effort, or we complement its effort.
yes,
We have to facilitate trade interactions between business people here and business people in South Africa.
yes,
We have to look at the prospect of interacting with other businesses in trying to ensure that the investments go into the country, because South Africa indeed needs a lot of investment in order to be able to go beyond the challenges it has at the present moment.
Yes.
So basically, we do that in that area.
Well, I can imagine that every day for you is different and every day is very busy. And during this period of COVID-19, I'm sure you've been inundated with lots of people asking for information, asking how to do things. What is the best way for South Africans in Singapore to reach the High Commission at the moment? Is it by telephone or by email, websites? What would you say is the best way for people to reach you?
Well, I think it would be proper to say the most convenient
Yes.
For the citizens. For us, it's welcome. But at the present moment, we are reachable at the website. But I've come to learn that people at all times want face-to-face discussions, because, you know, some of these things do not offer them sufficient opportunity to express themselves the way they want. We have our offices open for 3 days here in a week. We are looking forward to increasing the number of days as the coronavirus pandemic grows lower and lower. So we are available on Monday, we are available on Wednesday, we are available on Friday from 9 to 1:30 every day on those 3 days. But we have a website, they can reach us on that one. But except that, we have made available telephone numbers of the colleagues I work with here for them to be phoned. And incidentally, I was talking to one of my colleagues this morning, because I see messages of response to South Africans at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was saying, are you working at those times? He says, no, if they ask me, I have to do that. And it actually assists me because it makes my work more easier. So we are permanently available as a mission to whatever the citizens of our country wants to raise.
Very good, sir. So to our audience watching today, in the description box of this interview, you will find the link to the website of the High Commission here. So if you have further inquiries, you can reach them on the website. And I will also put more information about how to reach them by telephone and email. That brings us to our next question, High Commissioner. If you reflect back on your time here in Singapore so far, what achievements are you most proud of in terms of the relations and everything that you told me you work on here? What is something that you are proud of?
I think the task of any High Commissioner who comes to Singapore is to ensure that the relationships actually grow and they are not bedeviled by other things. So the relationships have improved over time. Whether as a mission you had a direct or indirect contribution to that, the fact of the matter is that the government of Singapore and the government of South Africa at the present moment are really having good relations. And our image in this country also has improved a lot. And I think what we needed to do as a mission, further to enhance that, is to continue to support Singapore in international forums, but also to be alive to the challenges which this country is facing. And in that way, they will be alive to the challenges which we are facing. And they know that our main task is to ensure that we get investment in the country. There's a lot of things which we are discussing at the present moment with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, particularly around agricultural products coming into South Africa. And I think having established or not established, work together with the business people from South Africa here, we have created a vehicle in South African Chamber of Commerce, which is going to assist to refine those relationships, because the practical people on the ground are business people, not ourselves as a mission. They know the landscape of business and their input towards us and what we should do in order to facilitate their ventures is really what we should look at.
I couldn't agree with you more. Being part of the chamber myself is a great learning experience in international business. The people you meet, the relationships you build, both between Singapore and South Africa, it's been really beneficial for myself and for my business here as well. But you touched on a few things there. But if I may, I'd like to go back to the COVID-19 pandemic that we are all facing, the international travel and the movement of people. You mentioned earlier about the repatriation of South Africans that potentially have been distressed or away from family. Could you tell us a little bit more about the work of the mission and what you guys have done in that regard so far during this very difficult time?
I think the mission is limited in terms of what it can do. So every time a South African says, I want to be repatriated, whether it's through loss of employment, whether it's an attempt on his or her part to link up with the family in South Africa, what we do, we register all those who say we want to be repatriated. But the task of repatriation is left with the Department of Home Affairs in our country. And we send all that information to the Department of Home Affairs. And the Department of Home Affairs, but we also give them some other information. Department of Home Affairs will look at the logistics around traveling in the world. And then, because mostly in terms of the government protocols in our country, you are supposed to pay for yourself as a citizen, as a person who wants to be repatriated. They will look around and see how they can integrate a number of people in places which are in close proximity to be able, in fact, to say, there's a possibility of you hiring a private plane that will take you there. But this is what we also say to them, those that ask us to intervene, that if you can build yourself into a block,
yes,
people who want to go home, and then use your insurance companies, sometimes other avenues, and say, we want to go home, we have the money to pay. You can do that on your own, yes, without anybody facilitating that, because there is no traveling between Singapore and South Africa at the present moment.
Yes.
And then we are still under lockdown there in South Africa.
I feel it's been a very difficult time, and I'm sure people have expected a lot from the High Commission during this time. And I mean, when there is no travel to be facilitated, all you can do is provide information and try and organize people in such a way that they can get home, hopefully. But travel is limited. There is no commercial airlines.
Yeah, no, it's really limited.
Um,
And then the stress which our people, I was just saying, it subjects our people to a lot of stress because, you know, we have our own views.
Yes.
And our own expectations. But generally, we've had a good relationship with people, and some of them have written wonderful letters to us, how helpful we were during this time of COVID.
Well, the fact that you are giving us your time to address the audience in this manner, it shows how much you are coming to the table. Now, you also touched on the facilitation of trade and the work that you are doing between Singapore and South Africa, perhaps in terms of agriculture, as you were saying. Could you tell us more about the mission's work around post-COVID-19 economic relations between Singapore and South Africa?
I think what we have to agree upon first is that it will be a long haul for South Africa to get out of the economic situation currently prevailing, low productivity because of conditions of COVID, closure of a number of businesses, unemployment, and all that. It will be a long haul. Now, this situation necessitates that we as a mission, working together with the other partners, must go an extra mile by identifying those things which are of critical importance to this country. And one of them is the agricultural product because of the nature of Singapore.
Yes.
And indeed, we have had several discussions with the Ministry of Trade and Industries here around the possibility of exports from South Africa into Singapore on agricultural product, because Singapore is diversifying supply chain.
Yes.
And in doing that, we must actually take the opportunity to confront Singapore with this possibility of South Africa as an agricultural country to be able to support some of their ventures.
Now,
and I wanted to say it's simple. They might not be familiar with products from South Africa, agricultural products and ocean products. But if you diversify in terms of supply chains, you must also diversify in terms of the products, because the world is no longer the same. There's a new era. And some of the products which you have not been using, you might not have been using simply because you were not familiar with them or you were not acquainted with them. So South Africa must be aggressive in terms of marketing its agricultural product. And then we will link up organizations like the Singapore Food Agency with South Africa, so that they can actually make their criteria known to our investors there, and then not to our exporters there, so that those exporters can be in a position to send their goods here. But also there's an element which I think we sometimes miss. It has got nothing with politics. There's a lot of land on the part of the emerging farmers, which is not productively used because of a number of factors: lack of market, lack of capital, lack of technological expertise and all that. It's an area which we have to look into collectively as citizens of South Africa who are business people here. How can we interface with those people? Because they say, no, we have a land, but we want to make a feed law, but they can't. How can we bring about cooperation there around this area, which will be facilitated in the main by those who know South Africa, the citizens who are business people here?
Yes.
And take advantage of that.
I do hear you, and I hear there's a great amount of potential for that cooperation, especially with I'm assuming that the work is also relating to the Singapore's plan for 30 by 30, where they want to have, correct.
Yeah.
And when I was reading about that, all I was thinking is South Africa has a huge opportunity here to give our expertise in agricultural and farming technologies to the Singaporeans over here. And potentially we could develop supply chains that didn't exist before by showing them how great our food, how great our meat, our agricultural products are. And that's why every time I have a bra here in Singapore with Singaporean friends, I try and get some boerewors or something proper South African to encourage them.
No, it's just because you talked about the boerewors. Now you are wetting my mouth.
Oh,
yeah. But I was saying that Singapore business people already in other countries are working with farmers. South Africa is fortunate in that it's got these commercial farmers who are very professional.
Yes.
And they are right there at the top. But in those countries, Ghana and others, they have actually went to the extent of, because of the policies there, lease a piece of land.
Yes.
And then produce on that. So we shouldn't be rule bound on, we need innovation. We need new ways of doing things. And then post-COVID, we also need the fourth industrial revolution, which has actually characterized developments in the modern world, including Singapore, must be a feature which is always there in South Africa. How do we do it? By encouraging those who have the expertise and knowledge to begin to inculcate that type of approach to what we do in the country, whether in the field of economic field and other fields and science, but we must do it together. That's post-COVID. We can't do the things the same way in South Africa. And to the extent that we can facilitate, because that's where we should be better at, we will do that.
I think that's a beautiful way for us to end our interview for today. So I think there was a lot of very useful information here. I feel that our community in Singapore is going to get a lot of value from hearing what we've spoken about here today. High Commissioner, I'm so grateful for your time. And I look forward to us working together with the mission here to achieve some of those goals and using our platform to try and facilitate that trade that we've been discussing.
I must say on behalf of the High Commission, we appreciate this interview, but we also appreciate your assistance and your commitment to assisting our own country in terms of growth and development, which is at the present moment very minimal. Thank you very much.
We're grateful to you, sir. And to our audience today, please stay tuned. We will have a lot more interesting content coming your way in the coming weeks, coming months. And hopefully, once COVID has passed, we will return to having our normal networking events where we can come together and have these discussions in person.